Hi guys, welcome to another haul video. I've recently come back from a holiday and birthday in England, and as usual I brought back a lot of art supplies as they're so much more affordable and available there. Like always, there's a bit of everything, and timestamps to each product will be in the description box down below. Anyway, starting off strong with these Caran Luminance. I've been umming and ahhing over purchasing a selection of these coloured pencils for a very long time now, and since it was my birthday I went ahead and purchased them with some vouchers I received. I bought this 20 set to work as the core of my collection, as it contains a great selection of primaries and pure colours that are good for mixing with, and on top of this I bought another 20 or so open stock, and these are colours that I can imagine myself using often for my pet and wildlife portraits, as well as some colours that I just thought were unique and interesting. I'm pleased that I bought the pencils this way as opposed to buying the 40 set for a similar price, as I think that the 40 set has a lot of colours that I'd rarely touch. I bought the open stock pencils from Cult Pens, and if you're in the UK I certainly recommend checking them out. Their prices for open stock luminance were very good. There was free shipping on my order and it arrived very quickly, and well packaged with a couple of freebies too. I purchased the 20 set of luminance on Amazon, and I generally find that their prices for sets are one of the most competitive. So as well as a list of the materials that I talk about today, in the description box down below I'll also leave a link to my blog post where I give a more thorough rundown of the individual colours that I've bought, as well as some other interesting details. Next up, I bought some more pastel mat. I bought this big 30 by 40 centimeter pad that contains a colour range that is popular for commissions, so I can more easily offer commissions at this large format. Additionally, I bought some loose sheets of pastel mat in some of my favourite and most popular colours. So here I have dark grey, light blue and light green, and as you can see I've already cut the sheets down. They were originally 50 by 70 centimeters, but I cut them down as soon as they arrived to the sizes that I like to work on for my commissions. This way I find loose sheets to be the most cost-effective way of purchasing pastel mat. And on a similar note, regarding refills of things that I already have and use a lot, I also bought some open stock coloured pencils to replace the ones that I'm running very low on and burning through quickly. So here I have a selection of Polychromos, a couple of Pablos and some Derwent Drawing too. Additionally, I also purchased some putty erasers, which you can never have too many of, and some more transfer paper. The next product I'm showing I'm really excited and intrigued about. It's the Derwent 24 watercolour collection. This set contains watercolour pencils, Inktense pencils and Inktense blocks, as well as a water-soluble graphite pencil and a paintbrush. This was a fantastic gift I received from family and contains colours in each of these lines that I don't already own. I'm really intrigued to see how all of these products will work with each other. I just want to say that everything was intact when it was given to me, but I was just a klutz whilst I was swatching, so I snapped this Inktense block by accident. Whoops! But it's not a big deal, the Inktense block will still work perfectly fine. The next little group of products I'm showing is some items for protecting and displaying artwork. So here I bought some loose sheets of Glassine paper, which is also known as crystal paper, and this is essentially a non-stick paper that's useful for protecting artwork and preventing smudging. I really like to protect my artwork with this during shipping and storage. Pastel mat pads and some other papers conveniently come interleaved with Glassine, but the open stock sheets of pastel mat do not. I also purchased a load of acid-free cellophane bags in different sizes, and these will also be really useful for sending my artwork as I'm beginning to run low on certain sizes. Next, I bought a bunch of mounts in a selection of neutral colours that will fit my smallest commissions that I offer. I thought that this would be a nice addition in a commission package and make the framing process easier for the clients too. Also, this way I can make sure that my artwork and compositions work well with the mount. And on a related note, I was also given this mount board cutting system by a relative, so I purchased some spare blades for it too, and this will be really useful for making my own mounts in the future. I was also given some old mount board that I can use for practicing my mount cutting skills, or use it for packaging my commissions. Still in keeping with the commission packaging theme, I purchased some more exciting additions for wrapping my artwork, so here I have 2 wax seal stamps and some sealing wax too. I've been experimenting with wax seals on my packaging for the last few months and I really like the effect it gives, so I decided to purchase some designs and colours that were more in keeping with my branding. As an aside, if you're interested in learning more about the way that I package my commissions, I've made a blog post about it which I'll leave in the description box down below, and I also plan to eventually make a video showing how I do it. And here, as you can see, I have some more card making gubbins, some blank cards, as well as some pretty papers and ink pads in the colours I theme my packaging with. I like to include a handmade card with my originals and commissions in order to coordinate with the rest of the packaging and the artwork itself, as well as add an extra personal touch. Quickly moving on to the final thing to do with my packaging and branding, I ordered some more business cards. I received my first batch last year and I loved them so much and they were so popular that I've had to order some more. You can see here that they're double-sided with my details on one side and with a selection of my artworks printed on the backs. The company that I used is Moo, that is M-O-O, and again, I'm not sponsored, just that I really like their service and can recommend them to you guys. Another purchase I made using vouchers from my birthday is this gorgeous set of 10 PanPastels and some soft tools to apply the pastels with. This is yet another product I had been wanting to try for a long time after seeing many coloured pencil artists using them as underpaintings or for soft blurry backgrounds. These are very fine and highly pigmented soft pastels that are in cake form, so they are applied and easily blended using sponges, and so in that way their application is likened to painting. And the range of colours that I've bought here is called the 10 painting set, which contains a good range of primary and essential colours, so I thought that this was ideal for an introduction to the medium. Next up, some frivolous little things. These are some Stonehenge paper samplers that somehow managed to slip into my online shopping basket whilst I was purchasing some things from Jackson's Art Supplies. I believe they were just under £1 per little pad, and they look to be around the size of artist trading cards. I'm particularly curious about the Yupo pad, which is a mixed media surface made out of plastic rather than paper, so lots of interesting effects can be created on this surface. I'm also pleased to announce that this Jackson's order went smoothly and problem-free, unlike the last few unlucky times I ordered from them, so I feel a lot happier now to recommend them. Last winter I purchased a Derwent Superpoint Mini Crank Sharpener, and although I think it's a great sharpener, there are a few things that I wasn't entirely satisfied with, so I purchased this Helix A5 crank sharpener. Again, it's a great value for money crank sharpener, and the reason why I purchased this one in particular is because you can adjust the sharpness or angle of the point on your pencil. I felt as though I was wasting a lot of my cores by sharpening them to a long and skinny point, especially if I wasn't about to do fine and detailed work. So I thought that this alone would justify the extra cost of buying a new sharpener, especially with my new Luminance pencils, where excessive and wasteful sharpening is extra costly. Secondly, this sharpener has a much wider hole than the Superpoint, meaning that I can easily sharpen my Albrecht Dürer watercolour pencils with it, and other similarly sized pencils. And a final bonus for this sharpener is that it has rubber grips to hold the pencil in place, rather than the metal teeth that the Derwent sharpener has. These metal teeth were producing unsightly marks on my pencil barrels, sort of as if they had been chewed by a puppy. I also found that the little holes in the wooden casing could make the pencil a little uncomfortable to hold, especially if the paint or varnish had been damaged. Moving on, here I have a 10 set of Winsor and Newton Designers gouache. I asked an arty friend of mine what she would recommend that I look for in England to try, and she suggested these. I bought these at a shop in the UK called The Range, and these were incredibly affordable at £15, whereas in most other places they cost roughly double that. Again, I'm not sponsored by this store, but I really suggest taking a look in the shop if you have one nearby, as they sell lots of reputable brands at very competitive prices. And from the same shop, I bought these Lyra Aqua brush pens, and again they were very affordable, so I had to pick them up. I've reviewed a few different water-soluble markers so far, and I was curious as to how these compared, so you can expect a review of these pens further down the line. The next product was a complete surprise. These are a new range and product made by Winsor and Newton, known as the Studio range. I had heard about these pencils in mid-July. An artist in the Lacquery Artist Facebook group, a group which I really recommend by the way, they had posted a link to them on the American art supply store Michaels, and they appeared to be a Michaels exclusive. What I found really strange was how very few people had even heard of them, seeing as Winsor & Newton are a reputable brand and usually do well to market their new products. So of course I was incredibly curious about them and wasn't expecting to find them in England at all, but again in the range I found them. I bought the 12 set as you can see, which cost £15, although they were offering a 24 set for double this price, but considering I couldn't really find any information about them online, I couldn't justify spending that much on them. I plan on reviewing these very shortly, as I'm sure that many of you are also curious about these new pencils, and there were also watercolour pencils and graphite pencils available under the same range, but of course as I'm a coloured pencil artist I had to choose the regular coloured pencils. Next up we have some more paper. Here's a pad of Canson Mi-Teintes in black. I've been meaning to buy a proper black paper for a while, as it's an interesting way of working and very useful for testing the vibrancy and transparency of pencils too when I'm reviewing products. I've been a fan of the reverse side of Canson Mi-Teintes for a while, and to test out the paper here's just a little work in progress of a peacock, which is one of my favourite things to draw, and I was lucky enough to see some whilst I was in England, and I was able to take my own reference photos to work from too. Approaching the last few things now, and these were some things that I was given by my arty grandparents. Firstly, I have a wonderful old tin of Derwent watercolour pencils. It's a bit difficult to find an exact date on these, but some clues for dating the product are the cover art on the tin, the grey barrels of the pencils, and the fact that only the number is printed on the barrel, there's no colour name. So I think that these are from the 80s, but if any of you lovely people have any insight or a more precise age, please let me know, and let me know if you think I should do a video with these vintage pencils. And finally, I have a selection of gouache and watercolour tubes. Again, these were secondhand and obviously very well loved, so I'm excited to give these a go and see what they're like. Unfortunately, I had to discard a few of them as they had dried out inside the tube, but I think that the rest of these should be fine. So that's everything. I'm very excited with all of my new supplies, and I'm really eager to see how they work with the products that I already own. I really appreciate the generosity of all of my friends and family, and I'm incredibly lucky to have relatives who I share my creative passion with. I think I'm most excited about the Caran Luminance pencils, the PanPastels, as well as the Winsor & Newton coloured pencils, and oddly the wax seal kit. I'd love to hear which products interest you, and if you've had any experience with the ones that I've mentioned, and which products you'd like to see a review on. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, don't forget to leave it a like and subscribe for more arty videos. Hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you in the next video.